Buddy, welcome back to Coffee with the Missionary. This is a pretty special week. I've been back in the States now for 6 days. So, coming up on day number 7 tomorrow. They say when you travel that it takes right at 1 day per hour per time zone that you're out. And I don't find that to be the case with me. I usually kind of, about a weekend, I'm usually pretty good. Not getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning anymore and staying up anyway. Uh, Pastor Mitchell here, he's been back in the States for 3 weeks, 4 weeks,
End of January.
into January
Yeah.
for a while. And he's still getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning because, well, he's got to get up and go to work. So, but we want to talk a little bit this week about his trip to Papua New Guinea,
Yep.
which was very eventful, a great time. Talk about some of the things that he got to experience because a lot of people talk about coming over and very few get that opportunity.
Yeah.
So, since he's been there firsthand, we like for him to share a few things. I'll prompt him with some questions if I need to, or we'll talk about some services. I might throw a few clips in from some of the services that we experienced while we were over there. We'll just kind of see how this goes and go from there. Anybody that's ever been on my podcast before, you already know I don't do a script because I like to be real. I
Yeah.
like to be natural. And, well, I don't think that far ahead. So, Pastor Mitchell, you spent some time with us over in, well, I say us out of habit because it's usually the four of us. Now it was me while you were there. Um, what did you think about Papua New Guinea?
That's a loaded statement. Well, from the natural aspect, it's a very, very beautiful country. Kind of odd, third world country, so you get kind of that post-apocalyptic feel a little bit as you're driving around. You know, the metal thrown together into fences and barbed wire on the top. But if you look past what humans do, very, very beautiful country.
Yeah.
People are very, for the most part, very kind and welcoming. And it was a great experience, first time overseas. Spiritually, you could definitely, as you get into the region, you feel a shift, you feel a difference in the spiritual realm, and it was an amazing experience. I can't wait to do it again. Can't wait to go back. But I also wanted to just hug a bald eagle when I got home. I was just so happy to be back in America.
Yeah.
So
the whole kiss the ground coming off.
Yeah, yeah. But no, it was a great time, great experience. The Lord, I think, ministered to me, in so many ways that I can't even tell. And hopefully, just the way fivefold ministry works and the way the Lord works in the kingdom of heaven, hopefully, I was able to be used of God to help minister in some small way over there as well. So,
you absolutely were. We experienced some great revival. Pastor Mitchell was there. We got to see, some amazing church, some miracle signs and wonders. We got to see some prophecy come forth. It was amazing. This podcast is about the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've said that from the beginning. But a lot of you has heard about the Black Wednesday event that happened in Papua New Guinea on January the 10th. And it just so happens that that's the day after Brother Mitchell got to Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
And we was actually in Port Moresby, sitting at the airport when all of that went down.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting day. So the whole time that Pastor Mitchell was there with us in Papua New Guinea, we was getting alerts from like the American embassy telling us that we needed to leave or we needed to hunker down. Or every day we was getting a new alert saying we needed to do something different. And what you have to understand is that the smart traveler is a good thing, right? It's an application. If you travel very much, you need to enroll in Smart Traveler because it keeps you up to date with the places that you're going. I actually use it all the time because with us being in Papua New Guinea, it's a way for the embassy to know exactly where we are. And if we have something come up, then we get a notification and we can be like, hey, we're okay or whatever. But when you're on the Smart Traveler app and you're traveling and you're not living there, it's a little unsettling. So we're getting these emails every morning. We're waking up a new email.
Yeah.
You need to do this. You need to do that. So it got to a point where we was almost afraid to tell our wives what was going on because every day there's like it's a little worse. It's a little worse. And we knew we was safe. We knew that everything was
Right.
okay. But when it comes down to Sister Mitchell being back in America and that going on, we had to be wise with our disclosures. I
Yeah.
guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah. Taking care of our 5 kids over here, and yeah, didn't want to let too much slip out right away.
Right, right. So everything went well though.
Yeah.
We was safe. I mean, we're obviously both in America right now, so we
Right.
made it out.
We did.
Or did we? Is this AI or is this like the real deal?
Yeah.
Wait a second. Going back to Sunday, my bad. We had an amazing message this Sunday, and I just had to throw that in there. But it's amazing to see God work the way that He works. You know, whenever you whenever you minister in your own country, it's amazing.
Hmm.
It's wonderful. And a lot of people in ministry, even they don't necessarily always get that opportunity to go overseas
Yeah.
and to be used in the giftings. And like I said, this is an unscripted podcast, um, but I would like for you to explain it however you see fit or comfortable how God uses you in such a different capacity when you're overseas versus when you're here. I mean, there's definitely a shift.
Hmm.
There's definitely a difference. And you know, I've seen you minister in both places. You're effective everywhere, but I've seen a different type of ministry when we was in Papua New Guinea than I've seen in the past here. Can we talk about that a little bit? Are you all right talking about that, or
Yeah. I mean, if you've got a leading question to give me some, I mean, there's such a difference
well,
in
you know,
a lot of ways. But
just in the spiritual realm, the freedom that you always don't have because as Americans we're spoiled. We're
yeah.
entitled. We're always easily offended. You know, there's no cream in this coffee right now. You didn't offer me cream in my. I don't drink cream in my coffee, but you know,
Right.
everybody's offended about something.
Hmm.
So the liberty that you have when people are more receptive to what you have to say,
Yeah.
and also, um, I mean, we believe in a fivefold ministry, and God used you very heavily in the prophetic
Hmm.
while you was in Papua New Guinea. So you know, if you can elaborate on some of the prophecy that came forth as far as you know what God gave you as far as revival for Papua New Guinea and things. I mean, we're not going to sit here and go over
Sure.
everything that, but just the freedom that you had while you were there versus the freedom that you have in the states,
Yeah.
just as a whole.
Well, and I think freedom, if you had to describe it in one word, freedom is the word. But you know, when you, well, I'll speak with the I, but when I went over there, you know, again, I felt some different things in the spiritual, and so you know, it wasn't intimidating. You know, it was just different. You just could tell there was a difference, and so you know, it brought me out of my comfort zone. And kept me on my toes. You know, you don't want to just think that you've got it. You know, when you walk into a situation, you're trying to be as spiritually aware as possible, um, cognizant of what's going on. Uh, you know, and I, as a side step here, one example, Brother Marshall had told me about a time that there was an identified witch in a service, and my question was, well, you know, did you guys lay hands on her? And he said, no, this is something that you let love address,
Yeah.
because if you identify a witch over there, more than likely she's getting killed. You know, and that
Same day, same time.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and here in the States, it's okay. Let's pray this thing out. Let's get this taken care of. Let's see deliverance. So the way we handle things in America, is in a lot of ways vastly different
Yeah.
over there. But there was also, again, that freedom, that liberty. Especially I would assume third world countries, especially Papua New Guinea, um, there's such an expectancy that the people have, and a hunger and an excitement, that when the people are receptive and the people are, they're hungry and they have that expectation, they give you a liberty to minister.
Yeah.
You can, and it can be dangerous ground, but you get more room to say a lot more stuff. You can address things on a broader scale, and kind of dig in deep. And there were a couple of those instances. Won't necessarily get into that unless you want to discuss it, but there were some opportunities for me to, in the spirit, confirm what you have been trying to teach over there for
Yeah.
many years. And I believe that there was a reception to that, because of the hunger and the expectations that they had for the service. So able to minister in a broader scale, um, you know, as the Lord prophesied and spoke to them, there was a lot of belief there, a lot of hunger, which, there's a great testimony I've shared a few times already. Um, we can also get into that in a minute, but you also have to be careful with that freedom again. Sorry, my nose has been itching.
It's all good, man.
Because you don't want to overstep. And there was an instance where uh, there was a pastor that had asked us if I could minister to the ministers over there. And at first, it was kind of an obligatory yes, we'll do that. I was also dealing with quite a bit of sickness, so I wasn't in my full right mind. But after we separated and got away, the Lord kind of checked me and told me it wasn't my place. That wasn't my role. That wasn't my assignment over there. I was there on assignment, and I had done what I needed to do, said what I needed to say, and this opportunity that was given to me was not my place to fulfill. That was something that Brother Marshall is supposed to address.
Yeah.
With some of the ministerial obstacles and things of that nature. So I had the freedom to do it, but it wasn't the will of God to do it. So you got to be really on top of your toes, and you got to be feeling out the Spirit to make sure that you're in the will of God. And I can see how it can get very easy going to a different location to step out of the will of God.
Yeah.
Especially when there's such great expectation and a lot of weight hangs on the words that come out of your mouth. So, I think I answered some of your
Yeah,
question,
yeah,
but
yeah, a lot. And I mean that goes for every evangelist or every
mm-hmm,
traveling minister. We travel a lot. I mean, as missionaries, we go from church to church, and it's very easy to overstep the authority that God has given you.
yeah,
So I appreciate you being sensitive to that, because a lot of people, they just 100 miles an hour, they're ready to go. They're just, hey, God's given me a word. They
mm-hmm,
don't clear that word with anybody. They just throw it out there, and it's like, bro, you just ruined like 5 years of my life, because I've been
right,
pouring this out for the past, and you just completely tore it down. And now I've got to get the mortar back out and kind of make a patch here. And so thank you for that. And like Pastor Mitchell said, the man that came to him and he's like, oh, you will preach for us the day
yeah,
before you leave.
right,
You feel an obligation to do that,
mm-hmm,
but you have to understand the cultural difference. And in Papua New Guinea, I say this all the time, they don't really ask questions, because
right,
their vocabulary is like, if I want a cup of coffee, kiss some coffee, now come get a coffee and bring it.
yeah,
That's how I'm asking. So that's not really asking you to do anything.
right,
That sounds rude to us. But when they ask to do something, it's like, hey, do this. So they was asking him to do it, but the reality of it was, they was telling him he's coming back. Well, he had been fighting sickness like the entire time he was there. I took him to the market. Pray for me, saints. I mean, I took him to the market. He ate a carrot, and that carrot ruined his life for the next like 4 or 5 days. So um,
No vacation.
no vacation, no vacation. So I told him, when we got done with that service, like, look, they want you to come preach, but you don't have to go. I said I
Yeah.
can make a phone call and everything will be perfectly fine. And whenever we came to the realization, hey, his body's not well enough to do this, then it was like, all right, guys, this isn't going to happen.
Yeah. Took about 20 seconds to decide that.
Yeah. But the cool thing is, while he was there, we got to go to so many different services and experience so many different things.
Yeah.
I got to take him to a place that my family loves to go. It's a place called Cow Mountain, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. My wife, she loves to go there. Those of you that follow me on Instagram, I posted a picture of Mama Leah like yesterday, and let you guys see a picture of Mama Leah. She's very close to us,
Very sweet lady.
and she had some pineapple ready for us, and she had some vegetables that Pastor Mitchell was afraid to eat because of the carrot
Yeah.
incident ready for us. And
Kids, don't eat your vegetables.
right, if any kids want a way to get out of eating vegetables, just be like, you need to talk to Brother Mitchell about the carrot incident of 2024.
Yeah.
So whenever we got to experience these things, a lot of people, they're like, they want to know what the day in the life of a missionary is
Yeah.
like. And the reality of it is, if you look at your life, that's what my life is.
Mhm.
You know, they're like, well, you live in Papua New Guinea, your life's got to be different. But I mean, we go to the grocery store, we go to the market, we go to the gas station, we go to people's house, we have Bible studies, we go to church. But everybody's like, well, you're a missionary. You have to be like building churches and building schools and purifying water and
Right.
all of this stuff all of the time. And when you came over, Pastor Mitchell, what was your mindset like as you was preparing for this trip? I mean, I told you a lot of stuff, but you can never be mentally prepared until your boots on the ground, right?
Right.
So did what you experienced there, was it what you expected, or was it totally different than what you thought you was going into?
Well, this trip has been what, probably, well, almost 5 years in the making.
It's been a long time
I
coming.
mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And it was just not the will of God at every time I tried. But uh, I tried to clear my expectations.
Yeah.
And we had discussed before that, and AYC is a great program. I'm not knocking AYC, but at 35 years old, when I was going to go over there, I wanted to know, what is the missionary experiencing?
Yeah.
Like, if there's a fight on the street, obviously I don't want to see people fight by any means, but I don't want to be hidden from a lot of that. Now, I know there was a lot there that I was, and through your wisdom, I wasn't aware of it, but I wanted to experience the day to day, and that's why I took an extended trip over there as well.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hit the highlights and be gone. So my expectation, again, trying to clear my head of expectation, but I think the biggest shock to me is my perception of what third world is.
Yeah.
Is you're thinking, grass hut, jungle everywhere. And in a lot of Papua New Guinea, yeah, that's the case. But, we went to, what's the store, Modern Living or
Yeah.
whatever. You walk into Modern Living and you're seeing air fryers, you're seeing toasters, you're seeing microwaves, air purifiers. They've got technology there. They've
Yeah.
got, banks and they're living life,
Yeah.
in our world. It's just they're a lot more poor.
Yeah.
They've got nice hotels. They've got, and I believe you were saying, from a lot of Australian, Chinese, and Indian influence,
Yeah.
coming in. But I think that was a shock, just kind of seeing that what our fifth grade history books show us as third world, isn't
versus the real deal.
right, isn't always the case.
Yeah.
But the other thing was um, the mentality, the way they think, the way they operate. And we had a conversation over in Mount Cal, or Cal Mountain,
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
They
And
call it both. You're
yeah,
good either
okay.
way.
So we're sitting with the pastor there and a few of the saints, and just kind of discussing the differences. And as we're sitting there, Brother Marshall and I had on watches, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And like, so we were talking about kind of different perceptions, and like, we're so driven by time, like our relaxation is sitting around for the next 20 minutes, and then we got to go. Whereas they're not driven by time over there. And so just time in and of itself, and the focus on time or the lack thereof, changes your entire perception of life around you.
Yeah.
And so they think different. They converse differently, just a lot there. So I think those were the two big things that were kind of a shocker to me.
Yeah. And the time thing, Papua New Guinea has mellowed me out so much because, like, I'm very time and detail oriented. Like, if I tell you I'm going to be somewhere at 7 o'clock, I'll be there by 6:15.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just how I do things. And Papua New Guinea has really slowed me down. Me and my wife had a conversation today, full transparency. Um, we had a conversation today, and I used to be so high strung, man. I mean, like everything was just like, on our way over here tonight, I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, we was coming over for fellowship and a Bible study, and we were supposed to be here at 3:30, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like 3:20, and I'm flipping out. I'm like, oh no, we got to hurry up. But Papua New Guinea's kind of taken not all of that because I'm still an American. I'm still, I still have to function here. I still have to be respectful of time because to me, what I tell the guys in Papua New Guinea all the time is I can give you 100 kina right now, and kina is the currency there. I can give you 100 kina right now, and I can get 100 kina back. I mean, I can borrow it. I can go to the bank and get it. I can work and get 100 kina. But if I give you 5 minutes, that 5 minutes is gone forever. I can never get it back.
Right.
So if you rob me of my time, that to me is a huge disrespect. Like
Yeah.
I've got into it. You've met Pastor Charlie. We got into it one time. He took the truck, and I needed the truck at like 3:30. Well, he rolls in at 3:35, and I came unglued. I mean, I was like, "Look, you have no right." I mean, I like just. And then after you think about it, it's like he he wasn't being super disrespectful. He got there 5 minutes late. If it would have been anybody else, I would have been like, I would have kind of overlooked it maybe a little bit more. But I felt like I was trying to get it through their heads. Hey, my time is important, very important. We can't be doing this. But it's really really helped me. They call it island time
Mm-hmm.
or Papua New Guinea time. And then if you go to Fiji, they got Fiji time. And what I always tell them is like, look at your watch or look at your phone and tell me what time it says. And they'll tell me it, and it's the same as mine. I'm like, so your time's the same as mine. So it's one of those things to where you got to kind of give and take there. But that was a great takeaway, and I loved when we was at Cal how you mentioned that
Mm-hmm.
because like we have this like huge like people just just like
Yeah.
mouth open staring at us while we're talking. And Pastor Mitchell, he's just like, you would think he's got like some fish and some bread. They just like sitting there, just amazed by what he was saying. And whenever he mentioned that about time, it was something that, and it may seem, well, you guys are just talking about time, but it was a moment where everybody connected, and that one little thing
Yeah.
of us talking about that, they all understood what was being said, and that
Mm-hmm.
that was great. Um, so whenever you came over and you kind of got to experience like the day to day of a missionary, we already talked about you not feeling very well, but between you guys have to understand that there's different kinds of sickness,
Yeah.
and people don't. People's like, well, you're just this super spiritual. There really is. I mean, there's spiritual attacks,
Yeah.
right? So we were there. There was a huge fight going on.
Mm-hmm.
We went to the market. A drunk guy came up and started cussing Pastor Mitchell out, thinking that we was there like on some government ploy.
Yeah.
So we have to stop this guy, and the guy's got a knife in his hand, just standing there like talking to Pastor Mitchell. And it's like, look, buddy,
I'm well liked over there.
yeah. But the guy meant no harm. He was just drunk and he had a knife in his hand. I mean, he wasn't threatening
Right.
us or anything. But we had that going on. We had the fights going on. We had this. We had that. So some of the sickness that you experienced, I feel, was more on the spiritual side.
Yeah.
Sure, you ate a bad carrot. You probably shouldn't eat a carrot if it tastes like sewer water. But I'm
Right.
just saying, if you do, you're probably going to need a little bit of medicine afterwards.
I think a little bit of Brother Ezekiel was slipping in. Yeah, just eat it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Ezekiel's a great person to take advice from. I mean, the guy that's sick like 2 weeks out of the month, the entire time he's in Papua New Guinea, that's who I would get my advice from. But you got to experience quite a bit. We got to go to, I think, 4 churches while you were there.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah, we had the back to school rally, and then we went to Cal. We didn't have a service at Cal.
Yeah, and
That's
down by the
cool.
mountain base, Pastor
Tiki,
Luke.
Tiki, yeah. So you also got to sit in on the most exciting thing that happens in anybody's life, which is a national board meeting.
Love business meetings.
But what made the national board meeting so good is the moo afterwards. So what'd you think about the moo?
That pig was the most amazing dead thing I've ever eaten.
Dude, I am telling you.
Like, it was, I mean,
I'm glad it was dead when we ate it.
well, probably not too far after it was alive. Probably had a breath in it, but
It probably did. You get fresh meat over there. I mean, they
Yeah.
kill it, you eat it.
Now the bananas, I know you've got your ice cream banana. They
so
taste
good.
like potatoes.
So
It's the
good.
weirdest thing, like the starchiest. And I love American bananas, which aren't really necessarily American,
That's a
but
plantain though,
yeah, well,
or plantain, or whatever they call them. I don't know what they're called. I'm an American. We call them bananas.
so that's actually one of the things that killed me is I was so excited to eat all the fruit, all the vegetables, and all that kind of stuff. And day 2, that carrot,
Something like that.
day
yeah.
2 or day 3, yeah. So I got a gun shy from.
But on the other side of that, just think of how you'll never look at pineapple the same way.
That was the best
Papua
pineapple.
New Guinea pineapple is the best in the world.
Ate it like a popsicle. Flip it upside down, bite in.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Right on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Got some lady cutting it all up
With a knife that
Slice
probably
it.
hasn't been cleaned since it was made.
Probably the same knife that they cut the pig with the night before.
Probably.
But we just don't think about that kind of stuff.
No.
Because if you think about it, you'll never eat anything in Papua New Guinea.
I did lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And my wife, she wasn't there. I was there for 48 days alone. And I lost like 13 pounds.
Yeah.
And I didn't even get sick. But eggs and ramen, that just doesn't really do much. So if anyone was wanting to come to Papua New Guinea, what things would you tell them that they should do to prepare? Praying and fasting is obvious.
Praying and fasting, hand sanitizer.
Imodium.
Oh man, Imodium. Get the Imodium, even though it didn't work. Get it. Imodium doesn't touch like spiritual sickness, I guess. But be prepared for hugs. I'm not a big hugger. I receive them just fine. I'm not, grossed out, but I'm just not a touchy-feely person. They are.
Yeah.
They are.
I think that's mine and my wife's fault, though. We're big huggers. We hug everybody. So I think that's part of the reason that they.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you. So
other than the knee hugs, those are weird.
Yeah, those are awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll hug your knees out of respect, which actually is a segue into what I was going to say. This I could not get used to this, and I was telling Brother Marshall I was uncomfortable the entire time. But they again hungry, expectant, um, excited for the Word of God, excited. I mean, quite honestly, to see a white person in a
Yeah.
lot of regard.
Yeah.
But there was the back to school rally. You had told me to get prepared, and so we had to basically march up the aisle like wedding processional style,
Yeah.
shaking hands. And there was a gentleman that would not let us get on the platform until we walked on his suit jacket.
Yeah.
And it was, and I know it's a culture thing, but it was so awkward because they're supposed to be there for God. We're there for God. We want to see God move.
Yeah.
Like, I don't it was uncomfortable receiving the gifts. It was uncomfortable, with the attention and the applause, and to, I mean, top it all off, being sick. It was just, I just want to get out of there. Don't do this. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
But in a bigger conversation we had is we can't go in there and change their culture, right?
Right.
You can't. You're not going to be able to. They won't receive it, and it's a dangerous thing, um, physically and spiritually. You just don't go and change their culture. But uh, going to Papua New Guinea, you have to be ready to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
And some people may like it. I Not me, but you have to be ready for the attention. You have to be, and there's a lot of expectation put on you.
Yeah.
To shake every hand, kiss every baby. You and I mean, sometimes you feel rude doing it, but sometimes you just got to push people away. You just got to
Yeah.
separate. You got to learn to say no sometimes, without being disrespectful. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing, I
Yeah.
would think.
Definitely. Because I mean, it does take a lot of getting used to. We've been there for 5 years, and still, some of the stuff they do, it makes me and my wife so uncomfortable.
Hmm.
The knee hugs. My wife, she don't put up with it.
Yeah.
She'll like grab them by the elbows and pull them up and give them a hug and be like, "I'm up here." So that's just one of those things that you got to pick and choose.
Yeah.
You know, um, but we're so excited he was able to come over. Um, we're excited that you and Sister Mitchell's going to get to come over sometime very soon
Yeah.
and hang out with our family. And we'll take Sister Mitchell and let her see how we kill pigs in Papua New Guinea, and
Hmm.
then we'll eat one, and it'll be great.
And all three of you will hang out as I hike Mount Wilhelm.
I am not hiking Mount Wilhelm. I'll sleep at Betty's Lodge and wait on you to come back
Yeah.
down. Everybody that listens to the podcast knows that I made it halfway up Mount Wilhelm, died 17 times. I couldn't do it. It won. But, you know, just a quick disclaimer because we're new on YouTube. This is my second YouTube video. So anybody that listens to my audio podcast, they already understand. But when you hear things on this podcast with us saying the word white man, it's 2024. You got to cover yourself in all areas. But the term white man just means a non Papua New Guinean in Papua New Guinea.
Right.
So it's not a racial thing. It's just what they call us. I mean, we'll be at the store and be like, hey, white man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not a disrespectful thing. It's honestly how they show us respect.
Hmm.
Um, so that don't think anything of that. That's just a Papua New Guinea thing that you have to get used to. And it took me a long time. Because, honestly, a quick story. I went into a grocery store and this guy, he came up and he was like, "Hey, Whitey," and I was like, "What in the world, man?"
Yeah.
So, and he said it again, and I was like, "What? Why do you keep calling me that?" And he was like, "It's like, oh, it's respect." I was like, "Where I come from, that's very
Yeah.
disrespectful."
Yeah.
So we have to have this conversation when we're on deputation and things like that.
Well, we even scared those couple kids too,
Oh, scare kids all the time.
sobbing because they've never seen white people
Yeah,
before.
yeah. You'll reach down and like shake a baby's hand or give it a hug, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
just flipping out. But I just wanted to throw that out there for those that may be watching this, and we have some words in the pidgin language that people don't like,
Hmm.
and we have to clarify that. But thank you for coming to Papua New Guinea, and thank you for spending time with me today
Thanks
and,
for
and
having
being
me.
on the podcast. Um, For anybody that's heard any noise in the background, Pastor and Sister Mitchell have 17 kids.
Give or take.
And my wife and my daughter's on the other side of the camera. We're mic'd up, but you probably hear some stuff going on.
And you're in the kitchen, so.
And and Pastor Mitchell's been remodeling their house. It's looking nice. It's coming along nice. And he said that he's getting it ready so that we can have it whenever they're ready to move into the mission field themselves. So
they're causing a distraction in the background.
I'm supposed to clarify how many kids they actually have.
And my wife got it wrong.
So how many kids do you have, bro?
We have 5 kids.
5 kids. Sister
and
Mitchell,
a dog.
I think they may be having a conversation in the near future. I don't know. But so 5 kids plus my kid and the dog and the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
But Lord have mercy. They got me all messed up now. We was doing so good. But we're thankful to be here. We're thankful that you was on the podcast. And we can't wait to see what God has in store in the future. Whatever
Absolutely.
that may be. I know that God's got a call on your family's life. He's got his hand upon you. So we're praying that God blesses you. Just like all of our supporters, I pray for them every day.
Mm-hmm.
I pray for you guys every day. You guys are close to us, so thank you so much for being on here.
Well, thanks for having me in Papua New Guinea and on the podcast.
Absolutely. Let's go grab a carrot. What do you say?
No.
Repentance works. You must witness on one way or cannibal. That baptism works. Where baptism will come up. And being filled with the Holy Ghost is the greatest miracle ever. We must be Philips to the world. You must come up with one Philip. We are not witnesses of ourselves. You may not come a witness for you yet. We are not showing the world. You may not talking about this world. How great and holy we are. We are not showing the world how blessed we are. We do not use titles or positions as status in the world. We are all to be ministers.